Whoa, a couple extra buttons. Nope, you're good.
It's a couple extra buttons.
And we are now live.
Hey everybody, it's Junior, and we are here for the Ask Junior segment. Thanks for supporting everything we do here at Dirty Mo, and Xfinity's been great for sponsoring this part of the show for a really long time, and it's one of my favorite parts because we get to engage with our audience. Hannah is back. She's going to have your questions ready to go, and so let's get started.
Yeah, the first one comes from Ryan Johnson. Of course, belated happy birthday. But do you have any favorite memories of your birthday that happened to fall on a day you were racing, or just a favorite birthday memory in general?
It's funny, man. My sister Kelly posted this picture on her social media of me and her. I bet I was 4 or 5 years old. And there's a birthday cake with a little Formula One Indy-style open-wheel car on the top of it. And me and Kelly are just looking at the cake, right? And I remember taking that car off the cake. There was another car, identical to it, just a different color, that came in a set, right? And so Mom put one of them on the cake. Here's your cake. We pulled the car off and cleaned it up, and now I have 2 cars, and I'm playing with them. I remember that. Like when I seen that picture, I was like, damn, I remember playing with that little car that day. And so that makes me it makes me kind of think back to, like, what's your earliest memory, right? Earliest childlike memory. And when you see when you see a picture like that, you might go, oh, I don't remember that day. I don't know what year that is. I don't know how old I am. I don't remember Kelly, what we did. I do remember the little car and playing with that little car. I remember my 4th birthday celebration, and in my mind the memory goes, we're in Mamaw's kitchen. It's probably 1978. Dad and Mom aren't together anymore. They're kind of in the middle of their separation or going through their divorce or separation. So Dad and her aren't, I don't see them in the same places together anymore. And so that makes sense to me that during the morning and during the day, Mama was telling me that Dad wasn't in town or Dad wasn't going to be around. I asked her if I would see him, or I just remember wanting to know if Dad was going to be at Mamaw's when I go for my birthday cake or whatever, and she was saying no. So we're in my Mamaw's kitchen, Mamaw, Mom, and seems like there were 1 or 2 other people there to have cake or whatever. And Dad comes into the kitchen on a big Tonka truck, the old yellow steel Tonka truck. And so he come in. I mean, this thing was big because he's squatting down, sitting on it, rolling, Flintstone style coming in there. And I remember, for some reason in my memory, he's wearing like black jeans or blue jeans and a white T-shirt, and I don't know if that's really what happened. This may have never happened, but in my memory, that's my 4th birthday. And I've told that story a few times to Mom and other people, and they didn't refute anything about it. So I don't know if it happened at Mamaw's house. Maybe it was somewhere else, But I do know Dad came in on a Tonka truck. In my mind, he wasn't supposed to be there that day. It was like a little surprise my mom had for me. And now knowing what I know about their, the years they got separated and how their marriage fell apart, that was right in the middle of it. October of 78 would have been pretty much, toward the end of as they were terminating their marriage. So for that to have happened is pretty interesting to me. Because from that moment on, when I saw Dad, I only saw, when I was with them separately. We never did anything ever again together as a family. So, anyways, I'm getting down the road on that. But that's a fun birthday memory for me. I really don't remember many birthdays or what I did on, my 16th or my 21st or I'd have to really think about it. But there's a couple that stick out, and it's those.
You don't remember your 21st because you don't remember your 21st? Or
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing.
This next one comes from Corey Schramm, and it's in regards to iRacing and scanning racetracks such as Riverside that are no longer around. Does iRacing need a physical racetrack to create one, or can they recreate one digitally?
So they could absolutely create an estimation, right? They could. There's no question that when before they ever started scanning tracks, Papyrus was building tracks in a program called Sandbox and taking their best guesses and measurements to be able to develop whatever they felt like this track should look like, and they would get pretty close. And that's the way most video games did it for years. So there's no question that they could go try to create a version of Riverside or an old track, but they won't, or they don't. They pride themselves on being able to make something exactly the way it is, to the thousandths of an inch. All the imperfections, the bumps, everything about this is every building, every object at the track is in the exact perfect spot and looks as it's supposed to look. And so when that's their sort of mission, to their core, that's their mission, right? Is to make these things perfect and make it exactly as it is. And so, while they do make throwback race cars, right? They do make, they did make a North Wilkesboro, but they had the physical track there to scan, and then they looked at old racing footage and so forth to be able to get the surrounding, the guardrail and all the other things that aren't physically there anymore, as good as they possibly could. So I think that, as we exhaust all the real racetracks out there that we can scan, if we ever get to a point to where they want to get more creative and get outside the box a little bit and try to create something that doesn't exist anymore, it would be interesting what that ended up looking like. It's doable, but
we've got fans tuning in all the way from Ireland, England, France that are hanging out with us on YouTube. But another one of the questions, we kind of talked about it a little bit at the top of the show, was the news that Dodge is not considering re-entering NASCAR. But what do you think it would take for another OEM, specifically not Dodge, to try and enter the sport?
I don't know. I don't know what it takes. Hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know what it would cost. So I've never been a part of anything that would be that would give me an idea of what that might entail for a manufacturer or somebody to come into the sport. I know that I was around when Toyota came, but I know they spent a bunch of money to get to where they are today, and they continue to invest millions of dollars into the sport or into their teams. So I mean, the number one word, I guess, for a manufacturer to come would be massive commitment, to a long-term plan, and to know that you're not going to get a return on that investment out up front. You're going to lose money in the first several years, and you're going to lose a lot of races, because I don't know that NASCAR would ever allow like a Honda or somebody to come in and automatically reach victory lane, right, and start winning races without a bunch of pushback and criticism from not only fans but the other manufacturers, right? Yeah. And so if you looked at Toyota, this is my impression of it was they kind of had to crawl before they could walk. They allowed them to become somewhat competitive in trucks, then Xfinity, then Cup, right? And it was sort of this natural progression before they became dominant at the top level, or I feel like that that'd be the tough part, is when you bring in a new manufacturer to be NASCAR and some sort of be able to put them in between the bumpers and say, hey, here's the guidelines that you have to work within, and to make sure they didn't go out there and upset the playing field any. But I know it costs a lot of money to bring a new manufacturer in, and they'd have to be willing to invest a lot to get there to even be a part of it.
I'm just picturing calling a pit stop and calling someone's Honda coming to a stop in their stall. Like, it just doesn't sound. It just doesn't sound right.
I got a question. I got a question for you. You remember how James Finch, when you talk about the last owner that just didn't give a damn, and he would switch the manufacturer decals on his car. It would be the same car. He'd put Chevrolet on it one week, put Pontiac on it the next week. Right? I remember this back in 2002. What is there anything that would stop an owner from just let's just call it an independent owner, from putting another car on the racetrack, or at least like a Honda decal or anything like that? Would anything stop them from that?
NASCAR has in the rule book what cars are allowed to run.
Okay, so you cannot do that.
Specific models, and they are the owners of the single source parts to be able to sell you the part to be able to run what you want, right?
Yeah, the parts will all be the same. I'm just talking about branding.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you want to be a Honda sponsored car, I'm sure you could.
Yeah, because that's what Finch would do. Again, same car, all parts, but just to spite people, the manufacturer in NASCAR and anybody else that crossed him, he would just go and just switch all these things up. And
I don't know why anybody would want to do that today, but
yeah.
I say my super late model used to be a Pontiac. Well, Pontiac knows. Last question comes from Tom Riggs. What is your favorite vacation you went on as a kid?
Oh boy. My favorite vacation. We didn't take vacations as kids. With Dad racing, our vacations were going to the racetrack. Daytona was great because you would race in the morning and you'd be on the beach in the afternoon. I've got pictures of us, getting buried in the sand at Daytona throughout the weekend. So that was kind of fun because most racetracks you went to and you never really left the track. You was a hotel. You had the hotel, the pool at the hotel, and then you was at the racetrack, and that was pretty much the weekend. But in Daytona in July, you had the beach and you had the pool at the hotel. It was an experience. There were other families vacationing. So even though you were going to go to the racetrack, which was awesome as a kid, you did sort of get this vacation experience. Otherwise, twice a year we went to see Mom in Norfolk. We went in the summertime. We went during Christmas, and I just said, I'd watch MTV and eat bowls and bowls of cereal while I was on those vacations. So, wasn't much to it. It was great. I loved it, but it wasn't nothing memorable.
What was the go-to cereal?
My go-to cereal was probably Lucky Charms was amazing. Fruity Pebbles, and Honeycomb.
Ooh, Honeycomb.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Cookie Crisp. Those would rip your damn mouth up. Though,
yeah,
man.
you'd
Boy,
get like
you
your
be
mouth all tore up on the top. Yeah.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. The big old cookie chunks. Yeah, the roof of your mouth.
Let that sit in the milk just a little bit. You didn't even go right to it.
Just soften those things up a little bit.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well that is it for this week's Ask Junior questions.
I'm glad we got that Cookie Crisp mentioned in there.
Yeah.
And this is only going to happen during the Ask Junior segment because you guys ask such great questions and you get us to those spaces. So appreciate everybody for tuning in, supporting us. Ben Kennedy's on the show today. Ben is going to be an interest. He's not come in here yet, but he should be in here any minute. Ben is basically being groomed as the next France to lead this sport. And I am excited about that. I've known Ben a long time, and I want that to work. We're going to get him in here and learn about him and what he's been through and what he's doing now. What does he see for himself in the future in terms of being the leader of this sport at some point and helping this sport for decades and go in the direction that he wants it to go in. So we're going to see really, what he thinks about that, and I got a lot of great questions I want to ask him, so it's gonna be fun to talk to him. So I think you'll enjoy this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed Ned Yost last week. I know that a lot of people were really surprised by how good that was. I was pretty surprised with Ned as a guest, and I even to be clear, I even used some of Ned's words to to help some of our drivers this weekend going into this round of the playoffs on the Xfinity Series. So I took away some of Ned's motivation and trying to use that to pump our guys up.
Were the words "suck on it" meat?
No.
Okay.
No.
Different words.
Good way to make it awkward. Anyways, everybody have a great week, and sure, we'll have a great week. Hey, buy Buster's Trip to Victory Lane out now in stores. Enjoy. If you got some kids, they might like this. You can pick it up today. Finally, we'll see you.
All right, we are